Hi, I'm Siobhan Leachman. I'm a Wikimedian, that is, I edit Wikipedia, Wikidata, and Wikimedia Commons. I'm also a volunteer for the Biodiversity Heritage Library, otherwise known as BHL. BHL is a digital library for biodiversity literature and archives. It provides access to public domain or Creative Commons copyright licensed biodiversity literature. This literature is full of data that's just waiting to be extracted and reused. Now, unfortunately, extracting biodiversity-related information from publications at scale can be challenging. Undertaking such work is definitely daunting for those like myself who recognise the need but may not have the expertise to assist. But a simple workflow exists that can empower anyone to contribute to this work. This workflow places the extracted data into Wikidata, a repository that ensures the data is findable and, importantly, empowers its enrichment and reuse. The first step in this workflow is to find the relevant data in BHL. Now, I do this by undertaking a full text search of content in the BHL website. So, for example, to find this paragraph, I searched for the word expedition. The next step is to prepare to add the data you found in BHL to a spreadsheet. Now for this, you need to work out your data model. The data model will inform column headings of your spreadsheet and will also guide the type of data that you want to add to that spreadsheet and subsequently into Wikidata. I used the minimum recommended properties for research expedition Wikidata items as my data model. These properties have been agreed to by editors participating in the Wikidata Research Expeditions Wiki project. Then I create the spreadsheet with columns for each of the required types of data. I add data by copying and pasting the relevant text from BHL into the spreadsheet. Now, to fill all cells, extra research is likely to be needed, particularly to find expedition participants or institutions that hold archives or collections sourced from that expedition. A simple internet search for the expedition may help with this, but be warned, such investigations can become time-consuming. Don't get distracted by detailed research. Concentrate on getting the minimum required data into your spreadsheet. Once you've imported it into Wikidata, the wider Wiki community can then assist with data enrichment and linking. When you have all the relevant data in the spreadsheet, you then load that spreadsheet into OpenRefine. OpenRefine is a tool that enables you to reconcile the data you've extracted from BHL against Wikidata. That is, you match the data in the spreadsheet to relevant Wikidata items. Once the data is reconciled, you can then use OpenRefine to import that data into Wikidata, either enriching existing Wikidata items or alternatively creating new items if they do not already exist. Now, because I'm time limited for this presentation, I've created documentation giving much more detail about this workflow, and you can find it at this bit.ly link. Once a Wikidata item exists, the data in that item and the item identifier or QID can then be reused by third parties. Examples of this reuse include by BHL, who ingests such Wikidata items back into its catalogue. Another example are natural history institutions, who can use Wikidata QIDs in their collection management systems. For research expeditions, the relevant Wikidata item QID can also be used as the Darwin Core parent event identifier and can be propagated by natural history institutions into the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, or GBIF. Now, once in Wikidata, the Wiki community can further enrich these expedition items, empowering their reuse by a wide array of third parties. If itinerary data for the expedition is added to that Wikidata item, it's possible for the third-party website Expeditia to use that data to create visualizations for the expedition and for its collections. It's also possible to use research expedition Wikidata items to link to other associated Wikidata items, for example, for participants, related publications, and also related taxa items. So a participant Wikidata item can have a statement added to it to say that that person was a participant in the research expedition. And if the participant is deceased and their Wikidata item has their death date recorded, that item can then be reused in Binomia. Binomia is a website that assists with the linking of natural history specimens to the Wikidata item identifier for, say, the collector or the determiner of that specimen. And if you have the start and end dates of the expedition and the participant is actually in Binomia, then it's possible to work out via Binomia attributions which specimens were collected during particular expeditions by that participant. It's also possible to enrich publication Wikidata items. If one of the main subjects of that publication is the expedition, this data can be added to the publication Wikidata item. And if the BHL source publication relating to that expedition is openly licensed or in the public domain, and it contains images, those images can be added to the image repository Wikimedia Commons. It's then possible to use the Wikidata items to enrich the structured data attached to those images. So for example, if the image depicts an expedition, a statement can be added that says this. Alternatively, the research expedition may be a significant event related to the image. The spider illustration in the slide shows spider species collected during an expedition. So, a significant event statement has been added to the structured data of that image. Both the depicts and the significant event statements link these images to the Wikidata item for the related expedition. Wikimedia Commons images can be placed in relevant Wikidata items as well as in Wikipedia articles, and these images can also be used by other platforms. For example, this BHL sourced image is the only openly licensed image I can find of this particular spider species. So I have manually added it to the iNaturalist species page to help guide citizen scientists. Taxa Wikidata items can also be enriched. Named after statements, for example, can be added to the taxon that has been named in honor of the expedition or perhaps an expedition participant. And if the type specimen of a taxon has been collected during a particular expedition, it's possible to add a statement to the taxon Wikidata item that that expedition is a significant event for that taxon. So hopefully by showing you these examples, I've given you a taste of how extracting, adding, and enriching biodiversity data from BHL into Wikidata can be done by anyone. I hope I've also shown how this work can help create a rich web of open, linked, queryable structured data that can be reused by researchers and institutions alike to improve our knowledge about biodiversity.